being a founder is not cool. Okay. It's not. I don't know where this memo went out that being a startup founder is a cool thing. It's not. This is how I would characterize it. Do you like working for hours for no compensation? Do you like pursuing a goal that has a high chance of failure? Do you enjoy wasting your free time on something that might seem futile and ultimately might be futile? Well, then being a founder is for you. That's essentially what it is. We live in a Pareto distribution world, and the top 1% are the ones that are industry icons and that succeed. I'm not afraid to tell you what's wrong, what you should change, and how to approach it, because I'm Startup Shinobi and you're not.
I'm Jari Bolander, and welcome to the Entrepreneur Ethos Podcast. This podcast is all about how to build a more ethical, inclusive, and resilient world through educating and inspiring the next generation of entrepreneur through powerful storytelling. Let's get started. I actually don't know how this is going to go, but I have the Startup Shinobi on the show who is going to give us some real advice with a bunch of real experience that's going to be real funny and no bullshit. And it really, I think, is bringing some actual sanity to the startup world, basically saying the shit no one wants to say. And I'm just honored and thrilled to have you on. So do I say Shinobi, Startup Shinobi? How do I address you? I don't even know.
Please call me Startup Shinobi.
Okay, Startup Shinobi. All right,
fine.
Cool.
Shinobi. Whatever you want. Let's not stand on formality here. In the deck, it says I'm the Chief Visionary Officer. So,
all right, cool.
As you know, every startup needs a made-up title to really drive home the point of how different we are to investors and to our strategic partners. I'm kidding, of course. Chief Visionary Officer. It's always something stupid.
100%. So, boy, I mean, it's just a rare treat to find someone that actually tells the truth, speaks truth to power, or gets past all the bullshit that's in the startup world. You know, it's not always sunny in startup land.
Startup land doesn't have sunshine. Startup land is a radioactive wasteland that is in a nuclear winter. But don't worry, because if you go on LinkedIn or X, you'll have plenty of people giving ample thought leadership to tell you how to navigate the wasteland. And by doing that, they're not giving anything valuable. They're giving horrible advice. And instead of giving real advice and how can we provide real value, such as resources, funding, helpful connections, strategic connections. No, I think this tweet that gets 7 retweets is my good deed of the day.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, I've been, in the game 30 years. It seems like forever. Well, that is forever. And just never, have had a lot of really great kind of investors, a lot of great mentors that have told me the straight shot, right? And personally, I love that because I just want to get better. And for folks that are in the game, new entrepreneurs, et cetera, you know, this whole show is about, you know, educating and inspiring the next generation of entrepreneur. Kind of what should they expect? How do they get the good advice that no one's going to tell them? I mean, what's the mechanism? I mean, you know, I think that it's just sorely needed to put some like, I don't know. So it's a toxic wasteland. Let's drop some chlorine in the water. Hopefully it's ready to swim.
I don't think chlorine's going to do it.
Chlorine's not strong enough, right?
Yeah. I think it is beyond redemption, but if you want to go into this world, and I advise everyone to pursue their entrepreneurial dreams. What I don't advise them is to do nothing and then feel entitled because they are a founder and an entrepreneur to act like someone's going to give them millions of dollars for their latest innovative AI-driven large language model focused on hot dog vendors in New York City and beyond. I mean, it doesn't work that way. I feel like you have to find real people providing real value, and it's tough because the real people don't have time to provide real value because they're doing real things. There's a reason that industry leaders don't spend a lot of time on social media because they're too busy driving hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars of revenue, not driving leads to their Substack, you know, not hoping someone joins their Beehive mailing list where they can add value in the form of being an amateur Tony Robbins and showing some screenshots from the latest TechCrunch article that do not bode well for you. But don't worry, the motivational speaking part will get you to go past that. And it just doesn't compute. I mean, when I was your age, the goal and role of investors was to make money. That's what it is. We are in the ones and zeros business. Now the goal is to be a thought leader and to be a motivational speaker, and not really to give money, but to give the encouragement. And it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, if you really like a company or a startup or a founder and you want to take them under your wing, well, that's good, but it also helps to make their load a little easier, give them an unfair advantage, and actually tell them straight how it is. And I feel like a lot of people don't talk straight anymore, especially on the investor side, definitely on the startup side. But the conversations and pitch meetings, they try to keep it very structured, as in like, I'm going to challenge these assumptions, when they really mean is like, you're crazy. There's no way you're going to go to doing $5 million in year 2 when you have 2 users in year 1. I mean, it's just not possible. It's not. But instead of saying that, you're just going to challenge the assumptions and give the illusion that we're accomplishing something, and nothing is being accomplished. Nothing. There's the constant, I'm in fundraising mode. What does that mean? It's not a full-time gig to fundraise. It's, yes, you're sending out cold DMs on LinkedIn or using a platform to reach out to investors. It's not a 60-hour-a-week gig. It's, you can be doing other things to, I don't know, make your startup stronger, find customers, have revenue if you don't, increase revenue, find strategic partnerships, things that used to be associated with being a startup founder and running a company. Instead of, I am in the fundraising mode right now. We are hunkered down evaluating our options, which means you have no options. No one's gotten back to you. And you're checking your mail, refreshing it, hoping that someone gets back to you with a calendar link. And hopefully they'll take that meeting and give you money, which probably is not going to happen in this environment.
No, I mean, we're recording this January 2024, and the startup ecosystem, startups in general, fundraising's pretty tough. I mean, it reminds me of 2008, reminds me of 2001. The things that just happen. Good quality companies will survive. The ones that have been bloated on too much VC money, to your point, not really working on their business, they'll go away, and there'll be some buzzword bingo.
Sooner than later, I hope.
Yeah.
We need to winnow out everyone. Being a founder is not cool. Okay. It's not. I don't know where this memo went out that being a startup founder is a cool thing. It's not. This is how I would characterize it. Do you like working for hours for no compensation? Do you like pursuing a goal that has a high chance of failure? Do you enjoy wasting your free time on something that might seem futile and ultimately might be futile? Well, then being a founder is for you. That's essentially what it is. We live in a Pareto distribution world, and the top 1% are the ones that are industry icons and that succeed. And the 99% is everybody else. And founders especially are held back by 3 shoulds. Okay, we'll call them the Startup Shinobi shoulds. We'll put it right here, right on the podcast.
All right, here we go.
You should like what I'm doing. You should support me in what I'm doing. And you should invest in what I'm doing. And if you can't, you should introduce me to other people that could invest. Thank you, person I met once in 2019, but kept in touch with on Twitter. I appreciate your help, and here's our data room. And I feel like that's what people are held back by, because you can't give criticism because people get upset. They get upset that their 75-page pitch deck isn't going to cut it. They get upset that they didn't do any market research. And if you bring up any of the competitors that they missed, they're going to say, oh, well, they're not really competitors. And even if they were better than all of them, which they're not, they get upset if their value proposition is terrible, which is on the first slide of any deck that knows what they're doing. And most of them don't. Most of them is a title slide, followed by a problem, followed by another problem, followed by, am I still looking at this? Why? And, if they're saying, and this is true, we're like Gmail, but better, you already lost me, because I don't have a problem with Gmail. And even if I did, I'm not going to pay $9.99 a month for an email, one. And two, if you're competing against Gmail, they have a billion user head start. So I think it's, I can get you going after a niche market, but, I don't think I want to read it. I don't think I want to help. I certainly don't want to look into, the investor pool to see who I can plug you in with, because that would make me look terrible. Maybe like, man, I thought Shinobi knew what he was doing. You know, why is he sending me this? So it's really something where these shoulds hold founders back. And it's very hard to find the help they need. And even if they do find it, they won't pay because, you know, I'm a startup. I'm pre-seed. All my funds are going into this. Meanwhile, there's pre-product, pre-MVP, pre-revenue, pre-logo. There's nothing there. So I don't know where the funds are going. And it's like, well, to incorporate, here's a lawyer that can help you set it up right. Oh no, I'm not paying for that. Or, oh, I'm not paying for a designer. I'm not, you know, going to do this. We're going to do it all ourselves the old fashioned way. Okay, that's fine. But make sure you fund it yourself the old fashioned way, and make sure you get customers yourself the old fashioned way. Cause again, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but there's going to be some sort of marketing expense down the line, whether it's Facebook ads, Google ads, printing up flyers to put around your grandfather's retirement community. Like there's gonna be some
fundamentals.
Yes, right? The fundamentals. I mean, you cannot be the $0 startup and expect to get $1 million just for being the $0 startup. And another thing, as I want to go into, as we're talking about millions of dollars, I think we really need to focus on how much money you really need and what the money will be used for. People are coming up with really random numbers. It's one thing to ask for $250,000 in pre-seed funding. It sounds reasonable. It's another thing to ask for $735,000 or $1.9 million. It's just random numbers, and it makes me think that A, you were drunk making the deck and picking out a number, or B, you were bored and you were playing darts and you just landed on a number. It's like, that sounds about right. You didn't do any research and crunch any numbers of your runway, your burn rate, how long this money's going to last. I ask founders all the time, how long is it going to last? Until it runs out, Shinobi. Duh. No, okay.
No.
It boggles my mind, and someone has to say something about that, because that's what it is. It's always some big number that's more money than anyone has ever seen working at the startups, than they've ever managed and they've ever had access to in an account. And yet they think they can get that with nothing, because that's what we're doing. We're a startup and we raise money and we're going to be the next unicorn, billionaire, trillionaire company. And it's never the case. And I don't know where this came from. I don't know if a memo came out. I don't know if that's, you know, we all have to think bigger. I'm thinking for thinking small. Think of something really tiny that you can do today to improve your position and improve yourself. And it's not talking with big numbers, and it's not throwing out the buzzwords. I mean, I see founders that I have to take cover from because they drop so many buzzwords. I have to take the cover. I have to duck and cover. You know, we're an AI driven, blockchain enabled, impact oriented, large language machine learning model for a legacy based industry that is yet to be disrupted. And I still don't know what it does.
Yeah.
I don't.
Oh no, I'm with you. I mean, my day job is, you know, B2B strategic sales and marketing consulting. And boy, even big companies that have got millions of dollars behind them, that have acquired companies, have this problem. And it's amplified 1,000x for startups, mostly for technical founders, mostly newbies that are not, to your point, like they don't know how to explain what they do in a language anyone can understand. And boy, it's painful.
Yeah, I can tell from your expression.
Yeah, it's really
You're holding
painful.
back because you're too nice. Everybody in this industry needs a startup Shinobi that's personalized. Let me come out and translate. Jerry says you're an idiot because you don't know how to explain yourself. No one's going to give you any money because you can't put what you do into a one-sentence tagline or value proposition. Stop doing it. Go home. Don't binge Netflix. Don't go on the gram and figure out what you're doing and then come back and ask for advice, not money, because you're too early and no one with any sense is going to give you any money. There. Take it away, Jerry.
Yeah, it's just, I love this. This is, that Obama skit with, I think it was, what's his name? Oh, where it was like, he was angry Obama and Obama would say something. And then that literally was at the, what's it called? I don't know, the journalist people in DC. Oh, who
The
was
press
it?
corps.
Press corps. Yeah. The press corps thing. And it was just like, this was angry Obama. This is normal Obama.
Well, that's what we need. Everybody needs a pocket-sized startup Shinobi. Maybe I should do that. With a pocket size. Hold on. Record it into this. Okay, it's going to analyze it. And this is what the response is going to be.
Yes.
No, leave me alone. And again, when it comes to communication, okay, let's focus on a name that matters. Okay. If your startup name requires a pronunciation guide, consider rebranding. I don't want to sound like I'm ordering an exotic dish. I just want to use the freemium version without tongue twisters. Yeah. And founders, there's no form of marketing that's better than word of mouth. So try not to have it sound like something Gary Busey would say after several drinks.
Or after having what's it called? Either a heart attack or a stroke.
Exactly. Now it's becoming a thing with AI where we don't have to think, we don't have to do anything. I'm just going to go to the AI and the AI is going to generate a name for me. I'm going to look at the 10 of them. I'm going to copy and paste it. Boom. We're ready to go. App Mutsero. What?
Yeah.
Well, the word app is in it. And then it comes from the ancient Latin, which we combined with the ancient Sanskrit to show that we're cultured and know what we're doing. And it's like, bro, just like, I get it. Coming up with a name is hard. But that's how we have to do it. But again, things are coming up that people just don't put any thought into. And nobody wants to tell them, put some thought into it. Nobody wants to tell them, hey, maybe you should take a few days to think about it. Remember the old Jeff Bezos story? He originally was called Cadabra until someone told him it sounded like cadaver. So he's like, yeah, maybe I'll just call it Amazon because it's close to the start of the alphabet. Done. There you go. Didn't have to have any other meaning besides that. Done. Doesn't have to combine everything. Okay. We think of Amazon now. We think of getting, our protein powder shipped online, not the river. Okay. Right. Not the jungle. It's fine. Okay. Come up with something. So yeah, there's the wasteland of startups is real. It's only getting worse. And I'm hoping that through my guidance and my no nonsense approach, we can guide people through it to find the promised land, or as I call it, full-time employment.
Yeah.
They're going to have an issue in this startup environment. You have to really be on point and you have to be ready to go. We just, I feel like the environment would be much easier if real startups connected with real investors. It'd be so nice. But to find one real startup, you have to go and find 1,000 terrible ones. Find one real investor. You have to go through and find 1,000 terrible ones that actually are investing, ones that actually are, cutting checks and giving real value instead of, did you see my latest thought leadership thread on Twitter? It was really good. It got like 10 retweets. Very good. A lot of tastemakers, not a big following, but a lot of tastemakers on there. So, I think you should check it out. It truly could help you out as you navigate this maze that we call startups. Again, going back to Startup Shinobi, leave me alone and go follow me on Twitter and maybe I'll reply and retweet you.
You need Shinobi-isms. I think we need either the Shinobi-isms or the Shinobi GPT, where you can put in the investor email and it'll translate it into what it really means.
These are our Startup Shinobi shurikens.
Yeah, there we go.
We're going to toss them out there, but that's what it is. And people are so simple of mind that when someone says we have received your deck and we are looking at it and we will get back to you if there is a fit, they're like, oh, he's in and he's not in, and a lot of founders actually, when they go to promote and talk to other investors, say, well, we gave it to so-and-so fund and they're looking at it and we're in due diligence. So, but then those investors will be like, I know them. Let me reach out to them and see. And they're going to be like, who?
Who the hell's that? Yeah,
exactly.
They won't be able to pronounce your name either. So my pet peeve is your name has to be pronounceable to the normal layman. The second thing is you have to be able to explain what you do to your grandmother, and your grandmother may or may not be a rocket scientist, but so it has to be clear, concise, compelling, it's simple. And the name, if I can't pronounce the name, I'm sorry if you think it's cool. I'm sorry if you think it's like, avant-garde, but it's, to your point, I think you nailed it. Word of mouth is the best marketing on the planet. It's got the highest ROI. It's the hardest to do. And what gets remembered gets repeated. So if I can't remember your name and it's stupid, I'm not going to repeat it. And that's bad. I need to be able to repeat it to everyone I know. Like, our mutual friend, Steph, right? Open VC, easy name. Like anyone can say that. Open VC. Startup Boost from, the other guy, Jason, that I interviewed a couple weeks ago. Easy. What do? We boost startups. Got it. Yay. I get past the bullshit.
They didn't listen to me. I told Steph you should call it closed VC and only limit it to certain founders that are equal. And I told Jason he should call it Startup Bounce. They don't listen to good sense. They don't listen to good sense at all.
Yes, Shinobi has spoken.
Exactly. I'd sign up for either of those because I know I'd be getting good quality deal flow. They're like, closed VC, we only admit the best. That's it. Startup Bounce, we only admit the best. Everyone else, bounce rate. 99% of them go away. You know, and then that way, because then when they go to another website where they admit everybody and there's no pre-qualifiers, you can just, if you have a pulse and a deck, you're in. No deck, but a pulse. Okay. It's like being in a club for losers, which is what most startup groups are these days. And it's a bunch of people that are like trying to add value in ways that just like with venture capitalists, doesn't really matter and doesn't really move the needle. And I feel like founders who never actually worked in the business world. I'm not saying the corporate world. I'm saying the business world where you actually have to show results. I have to sell this inventory to get money to buy stuff. I have to sell a service to provide something to get money to buy stuff. I feel like everyone has skipped the original type of entrepreneurs. Essentially, doing something for somebody else that's a complete stranger, which you can then use that money to pay your electric bill. Okay. Not exactly. Not trying to do something where, okay, we're going to build this out. People are going to love it. We're going to raise millions of dollars. So that way we can pay ourselves and we can build everything out and become a unicorn. It doesn't work that way. And speaking of paying yourself, okay, if you do include a use of proceeds and you're asking for $500,000, I don't think 450 should be towards salaries and growth. Okay. You need to be able to take money that you get and expand the business. And yes, you have to give yourself something. That's what we call being ramen profitable. You're profitable enough to eat ramen, and startup flavor is broke as fuck. Okay, that's the one. That's the best flavor. You can eat that every day and keep yourself going. But I think people don't want to do that. I think people want to just say, give me the millions of dollars and I don't want to eat ramen and I don't like noodles. And why can't why can't somebody just give us millions of dollars? I mean, nobody gets it. And I feel now, hopefully through my efforts, you're going to start to get it. Okay, I'm not giving you money so you can enjoy yourself. I'm giving you money so I can get a return. Hopefully 10x to 100x. I'm giving you money so that I can buy a boat and not a little one that you're on the sinking ship. I want a big one. Okay. It's not for you. So you can go, hey, look at this. I can tell my angel investors I won't need their office space. Uncle Chuck, I'm out. I don't need the beanbag anymore. So, it's just, there's a lot of problems and I'm doing my best to ameliorate those problems with the katana sword of truth.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's interesting because everyone knows these things, just no one talks about them. And I think the reason why no one talks about them is, it's always startup and, it's always sunny in startup land, it's always rainbows and unicorns or whatever. And I'm not sure why there's no transparency and honesty. And I don't know if it's because of brand building. I don't know if it's because people still want to have the facade that they're actually doing something, or, like the ones that piss me off the most are like the ones that got lucky because they weren't really bright or they weren't really working. They just got lucky, and that happens. And there's a lot of luck involved. And now they're like the sage that got lucky once, or
sage. Why does everyone want to be a sage? Whatever happened to getting lucky and buying something and enjoying yourself?
Yeah.
When I was your age, people that had wins actually left the country and went to Vegas or went and had fun. The first thought was, not can I show off? Not can I give advice? Not so I can become a sage. Again, who wants to be a sage? Enjoy yourself. I know real entrepreneurs making real money and they're not on social media and they don't give talks because they're too busy making money and they're too busy dealing with real things. What's a real thing? Well, I have a really thriving business, but I spend $200,000 on expenses every month. I need to work on getting that down to help with my margins. It'd be great if I could get that down to $90,000 a month. So I can maybe hire somebody else, or I can take more money and put it back into the business or increase my own salary. I mean, this whole notion that we have to be, again, amateur Tony Robbins. They sent out a memo. I don't know who sent it out, but the startup land has one trait that everybody loves to cling to. And it's really sad because startups in general are against this trait. And that trait is conformity.
Yeah.
Everybody conforms to what everyone else is doing. Nobody questions. Everybody supports one another. Everyone has to pat you on the back, even though it's really terrible stuff that you're doing. Mm-hmm. Again, it's like, here's our traction. We've talked to 50 people. They all say they love what we're doing. And if we build it, they're going to be a customer. Okay. That doesn't count. Okay. Nope. Here we have one paying customer and we have another 500 in the pipeline. Well, who's your one paying customer? It's actually our only investor, or grandma as we call it.
Grandma as we call them. Yeah.
And, what's this pipeline? The pipeline is everyone that filled out the Google sheet that said they were highly interested in being part of what we're building once we launch. So, I think right there alone, we've achieved that with limited marketing. But again, it's just pat on the back. That's great. That's fantastic. And it's like, no, it's not. You people are insane. Startups take 5 to 7 years at the minimum to be successful. And 99% of them fail. That's venture-backed startups failing. So with that being the case, it's like, I don't get it. Why you need someone like me to come out and spit the truth and tell you how it is, because you essentially could rob a bank, enjoy the money from the bank, get caught and go to jail and be out quicker. Okay. And then
in some cases, yes.
Yeah. Then working on a startup and have nothing to show for it. I can't tell you that your deck sucks, or I can't tell you that you're operating in a market that has high margins, or that the competition is very fierce, that your chances of success are very small. So you put a Rambo emoji up and try to, show that you can go against the odds. I mean, okay, you could do all that. You do you, but don't expect us to give you money to do it. That's what it needs to be.
Yeah. So, I mean, you mentioned about these sages and you mentioned these advice. And I mean, I guess I should point out that, Shinobi, you're giving advice. So what is it? What compelled you? What compelled you to sort of step into the breach? I mean,
I'm not a sage. My advice is sound.
Sound. All right. All right. Good.
It is good. It is not a uplifting, motivational, aspirational advice. It is, this sucks. This is the dumbest thing I've seen all week. And believe me, I've seen some dumb things. You need to reformat this, and you need to reevaluate both your life, your past decisions, your employment history, your future options, and your future career, because this isn't going to be it. I was essentially compelled because I'm just so tired of it. I am tired of the fact that so many people want to be a sage when they shouldn't be. They should just be cutting checks. You want to give advice as a venture capitalist. This is what you should do to impress me. This is what I look for in my thesis. This is what I invest in. That's the advice you give. Here's my email. We look at every day. Done. We don't need to talk about how you're going against the grain and how the world is built by dreamers. No, the world is built by the people who put aside their dreams to make sure that you have power and internet and running water, because, we need someone to run society. If everyone lived by their dreams, then it would be anarchy. It'd be anarchy. Nobody would do anything. I wanted to give sound advice because founders have become insane. I noticed this years ago during the pandemic. I thought it was just the pandemic making them insane. Nope. It was just they were insane before. Were insane during the pandemic, and now they're even more insane. People have become more entitled. People have become weaker to criticism. They have become fearful of doing anything that is going to ruffle feathers. And startups, the whole point of a startup is to ruffle feathers. You're going to be ruffling the feathers of the status quo, but you can't take someone like me telling you that your thought leadership is worthless. Like, you can't take someone telling him that, okay, your deck has more structural deficiencies than the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Like, I mean, you need to have this, because eventually, if you're going to scale up and be the next big company, I'm sure the customers are going to have problems with you. Everybody has a problem with a business. There is no business that moves soundly, and that is 100%. The best business ever. Even my favorite restaurant messes up my dinner. Okay. There's always going to be someone complaining, and you can't shield yourself. Well, I'll be in my office because I'm the chief visionary officer. One, you don't have an office. And two, because you're the chief visionary officer, you're going to have to deal with everything. You're essentially dealing with everything that goes wrong, and you have the responsibility. And a lot of people don't want responsibility, because when something goes wrong, the first question someone asks is, who's responsible for this? And you can't pull it off on, oh, my developer did it. Well, you should be overseeing this. You're the one leading the same sinking ship, which again, founders all think that we're all supposed to be in the same boat. We're all supposed to be in we're supposed to be in the Titanic. Supposed to be sinking in the Titanic. And I'm not. I am cruising on the Shinobi skiff. I'll give you a wave. Okay. I'll give you a wave, but I am not in the same sinking ship. And you can help one another by actually doing real things of value, such as, here, I know someone that is looking for something new to do. You should meet him. I know someone that could help with your debt. I know an attorney that can help with the incorporation. There's all these people that'll do it. But most people are like, no, it's okay. Oh, we have a team. Or no, we're going to do it on our own. Or no, we know what we're doing because we have 300 years of combined experience. Another stupid thing. 300 years of combined experience. As if that's a superpower.
Yeah. Like it's just because you've been alive,
Yes. Yeah. Well, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but the AI market isn't that old. So you can't have a century or more experience in a market that probably goes back 15 years. I know there's four of you. Okay.
Well, I think, like where it was actually useful has been like a couple of years. The actual genesis of it. Yeah. Like not even 15, bro.
Well, don't worry. We're industry leaders. ChatGPT, my co-founder uses it. That's it. That's a strategic advantage. Okay. Put that in the deck. Competitive.
Yeah.
Experienced prompt engineer generated hundreds of answers from ChatGPT. Okay. You do what every 10-year-old in America that doesn't want to write the report on Columbus does. They say, write me a report on Columbus, but make it sound like I wrote it. I'm 10 years old.
I mean, no, it's crazy.
It's not crazy. A competitive advantage, but it's when you're, for some reason, when you're putting together a deck and you really want to raise money and you have nothing to show for it because you're too early and you're, a newborn startup, essentially you have to come up with something that's impressive. And people don't know what to come up with. So it's just like, he's a family man.
Has 3 dogs, 2 kids.
Yeah, exactly. He's a family man. He's part of the local community. He was born and raised in this city. And it's like, okay, but that doesn't that doesn't apply to your proficiency in what you're building, in why it makes you investable, why we should invest in this. And that doesn't give you an advantage, especially if the city you grew up in is not a market you're operating in. He grew up in Los Angeles, but we're targeting the New York market. Okay. It doesn't make any sense. He's well versed in dealing and navigating the complexities of urban markets. He knows how to take Ubers, planes, trains, automobiles, skateboards, rollerblades. And in the worst case, he knows how to walk and navigate without the use of a GPS, which is very hard to do in this day and age.
It is. I mean, it's like driving a stick shift.
Exactly. So somebody has to call this out. Somebody has to provide edutainment in a way that is easy to recall, and you can put it to use. And there's a ton of content out there. A lot of it is not helpful. Even the stuff that might be too long, didn't read. So yeah, that's why I'm here. I have to answer my own personal call. I have to help the next generation because I feel with Gen Z, it's here. I have a deck. Give me money. I want my Ferrari. It's always a Ferrari or a Lamborghini. Nobody else can buy any other luxury car. And, I figured Gen Alpha, which is coming up now, I think that's going to be even worse. So, we have to stop the madness. We have to bring back the old school VC archetype. We have to bring back the Arthur Rock of the world. We have to bring back the old school founder archetype. I don't recall Steve Jobs giving thought leadership outside of the homebrew computer club. Started the company and just worked on the company. And then he gave speeches at company events. I mean, he wasn't going out of there to give other speeches when he wasn't already established. He wasn't going to give the commencement speech during month 3 of Apple. Okay. People want to give the speech already because, well, we've incorporated the company, which, is no easy thing to do. We've identified our target market, and with your help, we'll be launching our product and service within the next 6 to 18 months, depending on who else signs up in the immediate foreseeable future. It's like, no, I'm out. Please leave me alone.
Yeah. There's one investor that I know, this guy, Marvin Liao, who was at 500 Startups. Now he's independent for a long time. I don't remember exactly his fund, but when we were at 500, this is back in 2013, 2014, if I'm not mistaken. The dude was just savage when it came to giving you advice that was actionable and was pretty raw. Like he would not mix words or if you were not doing the right thing. And
he sounds like my hero.
He's a great guy. I love.
Let me check my ID. No, it's not me.
I love the guy. No, yeah. I love the guy in that sense because people didn't really appreciate that. I mean, he ended up leaving. He's just like, they don't like my style. That people are too offended that I say that their idea is stupid. Go work harder, or you're not working hard enough because these are bullshit metrics or whatever it was. Or I don't get your pitch. And I found it refreshing, and maybe because I'm Gen X and that's how we roll. But I wonder if it's just is it a cultural moment where people are just sort of snowflakey and we've got all this, silence is violence and words are violence, all this bullshit that's no, violence is violent. If you've never been hit in the head, words are not violence, my friends. These safe spaces and all these things that a lot of this generation's they've come up. It's a norm, right? I mean, I especially see this among young men when, they're being told that they're toxic because they're masculine. They're being told all these things that are just you were born this way, so you're going to have some propensity for certain things. But they've been, I wouldn't say coddled. Maybe the word is coddled, but I don't see the toughness. I don't see the grit. I don't see the resilience. It's if someone says your idea is bad, then either you listen to them or you don't listen to them. That is not a slant on you. That's their opinion. Opinions are important. You can say bullshit and keep on moving on, and you shouldn't be offended by it. They're just words, right? The words are just words. No one's killing you. No one's shooting at you. No one's hitting you or whatever. And I just think, do you think it's that cultural milieu that's creating this sort of softness? Because I see it too. I'm with you.
Well, as a member of D-Generation X, the World Wrestling Federation group.
Oh, yeah.
Hemsley, Shawn Michaels. I would tell them all in D-Generation X fashion, suck it.
Yeah.
Okay. Or in this case, suck it up. I mean, startups are hard. Business is not friendly. Business kills you. Okay. Business is here to beat you up. The business world is survival of the fittest. That's why when people tell me the stupid analogy of building a startup is jumping out of a plane and assembling a parachute on the way down. I'm like, no, it's not. It's a one-way trip. Okay. It is flying in the plane with no stops. The gas is running low, and it's up to you to figure it out. Indiana Jones style. Okay. And I feel like if you
good analogy.
If you can't be that, if you don't have that grit and you can't be that tough and you can't take criticism, then what's the point? I think it is societal. I think that people they get upset over Twitter. They get upset over comments on LinkedIn. in. And I don't want to say you're not investable, but you're not investable. Okay. Like that's what it is. I mean, you have to have this desire to overcome everything. There's no connection to the heroic anymore. There's no connection to overcoming challenges. There's no connection to going on your own quest. There's only this reliance on, I identify as what my startup is. My startup is my life. It goes back to what I said earlier. You should like what I'm doing. You should support me. You should invest in me. And if you can't, you should introduce me to other people who can. And it's like, well, I'm not going to do that. I don't know you. I don't know anything you're doing. If you want me to look at something, fine. You can spend some Shinobi coin. Okay. And we can help. The Shinobi clan is many. But at the end of the day, like, there's this notion that we're all in this together, and we're not. These are your competitors, if anything. You are going against, if you're going for funding, you're going up against other people that are in the same vertical, or if you're sector agnostic, they're not in the same vertical, and you're just going up against them to get the limited check, because funds only write a certain amount of money per year. And in this case, they probably won't write any. They're gonna write down stuff. They're gonna say we're actively investing, when that means we're waiting to see what happens, and if our LPs give us more money. And by LPs, Uncle Saul, are you in for another 200K?
Exactly.
I just gave you 500 2 years ago, and I have yet to see a return. We're really close. So it's you have to be able to take the punches. I feel like nobody wants to take the punches. I feel like it all has to be bubble wrapped. I feel like, you can be a gangster, but a real gangster is someone that is going to make it happen, and they're going to make the startup into a reality, and they're not going to manifest it. It's another thing I hate with startup founders. I'm manifesting my startup. Okay. Doesn't work that way. If it worked, then the guy on death row would be manifesting his freedom, and he'd be out. Okay. It's not going to work for you. What's going to work is A and B testing, finding people that you can trust, finding people you can rely on, eating garbage and learning how to like it, because that's what being a founder is. Not taking it personally, unless it's me slinging it at you, of course, because it is personal. Okay. But you have to essentially be strong, because again, capitalism is competitive. You have winners and losers. Not everybody wins. If everybody wins, it wouldn't be capitalism. It wouldn't be anything, to be honest.
It'd be communism.
Well, no, because even with communism, there's still
that's true.
You have Politburo people.
Well, I mean, I think that's actually a really good point, because even though those socialistic structures where basically outcomes are equalized, which is what I don't like about some of this progressive politics, it's like they're like, well, every outcome should be equal as opposed to every opportunity, like having equal opportunity, which is capitalism, right? And yeah, you're right. Even that stratifies. I mean, it's like there's the haves and the have-nots in every society, and the only mechanism that I've found that's actually can rectify that is, I would say, compassionate people that are driven through a capitalistic system where, the rules, there's a level playing field on the rules. It's competitive, and you don't guarantee the outcome because no one can, but we want to give everyone the opportunity to do it if they've got the effort and the gumption to do it. And yeah, that's lost on this generation. It's sad, because that's how you're going to be happy. That's how you're going to fulfill. Like, not everyone gets a trophy. You know what I mean? It's like,
we're not looking for a trophy. We're looking for 2 million pre-seed.
Exactly. 2 million pre-seed. Like, oh my God.
And that's,
the hell are you going to do with that?
Well, obviously we're going to spend it where it's needed. Salaries, growth, marketing, administrative cost, and building out the product. Can I consider you a soft commit? It's
crazy.
But I get it. I totally get it. I agree 100%. And I feel like there will be people who are going to be successful, and there will be founders that are really going to crush it, but they are not held back by somebody being mean, somebody not being supportive, somebody not getting back to them. And they don't care about stupid metrics. They don't care about accelerators and getting certificates. They care about building something that a complete stranger is going to discover, enjoy, and pay $7 a month to use. And then they're going to scale that. That's what it is. It's very simple, but it's very difficult to execute. It's extremely difficult to execute. And if you're in the enterprise sales space, forget about it, because that's even worse. That's probably one of the worst space to get into, but there's so many. And I feel like right now, everyone's, there's just so many bandwagon startups. Everyone's doing the same thing. It goes back to the conformity where, 2 years ago, you were in NFTs. You were the NFT leader, the
blockchain or blockchain. Now it's AI.
Now it's AI. We've pivoted to AI. And now after this, I don't know what it's going to be. Quantum. We're going to pivot to quantum. I mean, it's always, there's no one that sticks with one thing that they like doing and that they want to really work on. It's always what's trending, what's getting funding, what's like the next thing that's a buzzword that we can take advantage of and look cool and professional doing. And it just doesn't work. Like we see through it. Nobody wants to tell you we see through it, but we see through it. And a lot of people become too attached to what they're doing, whereas startups have become a cult. It's literally like,
that's a good point.
Yeah. It's become a cult-like mentality where you can't question anything. And you're attached to this notion that this is going to revolutionize the world and we're leading the charge. Imagine a world, if you will, where you have ownership of all of your content so that every time someone reads a letter of it, you are getting a little snippet of payment, which is going to be tracked on the blockchain and is going to make you passively rich. That's what we're building here at stupididea.com.
And well, what's interesting is you bring this up because I think I think it's a societal issue because of the division we have in the political sphere. Like you can't, let's say you're moderate, whatever you are, and you want to challenge whatever dominant paradigm, whatever dominant party. Like you can't even suggest in some cases and in some circles that this may not be a good idea. Because then they'll be like, well, you're not part of the team. Like, I think it's the same analogy or the same environment where you can't challenge the status quo because people are so bought into it and it's their identity and they just feel like, oh, you're not part of the team. And this is why I think, which extends from startups into politics, where we're really at a weird point, especially in US politics, where like no one's challenging these bad ideas. No one's just like, look, I can still pick your favorite party, but I can still say that guy's an idiot and this is a dumb idea. And I'm sorry that, that's not as progressive or as conservative as you'd like, but it's stupid. And no one, and I think this is an epidemic within our culture. Like, where's the intellectual honesty? Where's the debate? Where's the, I don't agree with you, but I respect you? Where's the William F. Buckleys of the world? Like, that are that legitimately have are intellectually curious and have intellectual honesty and are engaged in intellectual combat for the betterment, for the intellectual improvement of the world, as opposed to toe the status quo bullshit. And I see why people don't do it because they get, cancel culture or whatever. But God, I think the tide's turning because it doesn't work. Like, great idea, maybe good intention, horrible execution. Like, we're suffering because people can't talk about real things. And I think
agree
that's
with everything you said, except I'm sorry. I'm not sorry.
Well, I'm glad you're taking the charge, right?
I'm not sorry. I don't get into politics much. Apparently, you need a photo ID to vote. I have to check, but I think felons can't vote either. I said Madoff. All I did was intern. I learned my finance job. Right. I told Elizabeth Holmes when I was an advisor not to go.
I told Sam Bankman-Fried, you should really give the money.
No, I told him he should wear pants, and he never.
Yeah, that's put a tie on you, knucklehead.
Yeah, see how that turned out. Look at that boy in court. That's how he should have been dressing when he had the meetings. If only he listened to me, he would have been on the cover of GQ.
Oh, you would have been 30 under 30. Oh,
yeah, 30 under 30, or as we call it, the Forbes to prison pipeline.
How many have been? all kidding aside, it's like, holy shit. Anyway, so
It's
they can
become a
definitely
curse that we all like to, again, we all like to put on our profiles. He's a 30 under, what does that mean? Because I was a 20 under 20. I'm sure there's going to be a 10 under 10. And I'm sure there's going to be, have you seen the latest fetuses and what they're doing? They're
How
doing
about
great
60
stuff.
over 60?
Yeah. How about we look at some accomplished people that have done
How about we look at people that have like done hard shit? You know,
Yeah.
like, and I think you're right on. Appreciate you being on the show, man.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. Again, most people are they're a little concerned what I'm going to say, but it's all very truthful matters. People need to understand this. Founders need to understand this. VCs need to understand this. There needs to be a startup harmony, which isn't there because everybody's standing around in a circle and faking it to hopefully say they can get some money and hopefully try and be somebody with their, I don't know, Uber for applesauce.
Yeah. Well, there has to be a startup. What's it called? What was the samurai one?
Bushido?
Yeah. There has to be a startup.
The startup Bushido. Well, yes, I will teach you the Kobudera. Ninja magic. The art of pitching without a deck. The art of investing without a thesis. Kobudera.
No, there was the Hagakure. Was it? Is it?
The Book of Falling Leaves.
Yeah.
Yes.
There has to be a code, a startup code. I mean, I tried to write it with the entrepreneur ethos. I thought I had a first step, but I think from just an ecosystem point of view, yeah, there has to be something. Maybe Shinobi will lead the effort on that.
And we're not going to do it at a retreat in Tulum or in Guatemala.
No.
We're going to do it in a place where you have to wear shoes. That's another thing. And it's going to be about business. And it's going to be entertaining and it's useful.
It'd be like, in the, what's it called? Intellectual combat. That's the thing I loved about William F. Buckley. Those of you that don't know him, he was on firing line back in the 80s. He would always say, I love engaging in intellectual combat with folks that actually can put up, because some of them couldn't, and you could tell.
And these days, I don't think many can. No, it's a race to the bottom here in Startup Landia. We're proud of it. But just remember, there's where I'm here in the shadows. I'm watching, I'm observing, I'm getting pitched at. I'm seeing what everyone is seeing, and I'm not afraid to tell you what's wrong, what you should change, and how to approach it, because I'm Startup Shinobi and you're not. Thanks for listening.
All right. Great place to end it. Thanks. Thanks for listening to the Entrepreneur Ethos podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did creating it. My hope is that you learned something that can make you a little bit better. If you enjoyed the podcast, please do share it with friends and review it on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. You can also join my email list by visiting theentrepreneurethos.com to get my thoughts on what I'm doing to get better, as well as what I'm working on. You can also pick up my book, The Entrepreneur Ethos, if you want to learn the traits, values, and beliefs that I think we need to build a more ethical, inclusive, and resilient entrepreneur and, frankly, world community. Feel free to follow me on Twitter @TheDailyMBA and let me know if you have any questions or recommendations for a guest you'd like me to talk to. Also, drop me a note if you try anything we talked about on this or any other episode. I'd love to hear what's working for you. Until next time, keep getting better.